به برنامه ندای درون خوش آمدید. من دکتر فوژان زینی رواندرمانگر و مشاور خانواده هستم و همونطور که میدونید این برنامه مال شما امروز یک مقدار متفاوت خواهد بود، برای اینکه مهمان عزیزی که دارم دکتر جان مونتگومری در حقیقت نوروساینتیست هستن از کلتک پاسادینا و امروز قراره که با من باشن به خاطر یک سمینار بسیار عالی که قراره یک شنبه داشته باشیم برای شما عزیزان در UCLA. Dr. John Montgomery, welcome to my show.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you for accepting our invitation. We're going to actually have also Todd Ritchie, which is another one of our actually co-facilitator of the seminar with us in a moment.
Yeah, he's in Vancouver right now, but he's going to join us remotely. So.
امشب برنامه ما تقریبا انگلیسی فارسی خواهد بود، برای اینکه من میدونین که حتما میدونستین توی مدت وقتی که برنامه رو نگاه کردین که من مترجم بسیار عالی نیستم، ولی سعی خواهم کرد که گفتاری که با دکتر مونتگومری و بعد یکی از سخنرانای دیگه‌ای که خواهیم داشت که پای تلفن خواهند بود چون ونکوور هستن با ایشون هم خواهیم داشت، من یه مقداری گفتگوها رو خواهم داشت و بعد امیدوارم اینه که یه مقداری از اون مباحث رو بتونم به حالت کوتاه و خلاصه برای شما عزیزان دوباره توضیح بدم. Dr. Montgomery, we're going to have a seminar this Sunday, which is May 16th. And it will be at UCLA, 12:30 to 4 p.m. The seminar is free, thanks to the Iranian Future Leaders UCLA students and the Personal Growth Institute, because I know most of your seminars are not free. So
well,
thank you. So thank you for doing that for our community and allowing your time for us. And we're going to be there. Dr. Montgomery will be there talking about, the new model, which is called the answer model and he's going to explain all of it for you guys. And Todd Ritchie will be there, and I will be there talking from more of the cultural perspective of, some of the Iranian cultural perspective and American cultural perspective, and how, the family and culture really puts an influence in all of that. So tell us what you're going to talk about and what answer model is really about.
Well, the answer model is a new model of human behavior. So it's just sort of it's a model explanation for sort of why people do the things that they do. But then it's also a new method of psychotherapy or personal growth, which you should appreciate from your institute.
Yes.
And so we're going to talk about, I'm mainly going to talk about kind of the neuroscience behind the model, the neuroscience foundation of the model. And then my partner Todd Ritchie is going to talk more about the therapy. So I'll talk a little bit about our therapeutic method, but I'll mainly focus on the science.
Wonderful. سمیناری که براتون خواهیم داشت 16 می در حقیقت خواهد بود. اگر که لطف بکنین اون پیکچر سمینار رو بذارین که در نتیجه دوستان بدونن. مرسی. اسمش هست The Neuroscience of Overcoming Destructive Habits and Emotions، یعنی از طرف علوم شبکه عصبی نگاه میکنیم به چیرگی به عادات و احساسات مخرب. و 16 می ساعت 12:30 تا 4 بعد از ظهر در کنار شما خواهیم بود. UCLA Ackerman Lounge. Obviously the seminar will be in English because John cannot speak Persian yet, but
not much.
I'll see to that he can after a while.
Have to work on those Farsi CDs.
Farsi CDs, yes. Well, we're talking about the answer model. I know that when I've heard your lectures before, and I've heard them almost twice in different ways. One was for the therapist and one was for the public. And it really resonated with me. And then when you, kindly gave me your book and I looked at it and I read the book and it was like, it's one of those things like, like where the apple has been always falling and then one day, Ashton's like, okay, what's up with this? And then he comes up with his explanation, and you know that you've always watched apple falling. You kind of always had the experience of apple falling, but nobody really quite explained it that way. Right. And it almost felt like that. Like, I've experienced it with myself and, the kind of addiction that I've had with my own emotions, or it was so hard to get away from those emotions that even when the surrounding aspects were not there, that I would still follow those up within those emotions. Right. And I've seen it within the past 20 years with my clients. So it resonated. It's like, yeah, that's it.
Right. Well,
and there was an amazing explanation of it. So go for it.
Well, it's exciting. I mean, we're really excited about it because we kind of feel the same way. It just seems to be like we think we've identified the real core driving force for the things that make people unhappy, for the things that cause chronic sort of psychological, emotional, and even a lot of physical pain. And so, yeah, and we think that the core driving force for all of these things is addiction, is biochemical addiction. It's the same force, the same basic force in the brain that drives drug addiction and alcoholism, we think is responsible for all, pretty much, nearly all chronic psychological, emotional pain, and a lot of chronic physical pain as well. And so, yeah, it's exciting to hear you respond to it that way, because we kind of feel that same way, and that's the kind of response we're getting from a lot of people. So
great. من داشتم توضیح میدم که وقتی کتاب ایشون رو خوندم و 2 تا از سمینارها رو رفتم، احساس میکردم که تجربه ای رو که من داشتم و یا مراجعینی که به من داشتن در عرض 20 سال اخیر رو قشنگ میتونسته این مدل توضیح بده. این مدلی که دکتر مونتگومری و تاد ریچی به وجود آوردن بیشتر از هر چیزی نشان دهنده اینه که وقتی که ما احساسات خودمون و چیزای بیوشیمی که در مغز ما در حقیقت اتفاق میفته، فضایی رو به وجود میاره که اون اعتیادی که وجود داره، حالا میدونم وقتی ما راجع به اعتیاد صحبت میکنیم اغلب فکر میکنیم راجع به الکل و مواد مخدر صحبت میکنیم، ولی بیشتر دکتر مونتگومری میگه که این مسئله حتی اعتیاد اول به احساسات خودمون و بیوشیمی که در مغز ما اتفاق میفته و همونه که تبدیل میشه به رفتارهایی که میریم و الکل و مواد مخدر رو در حقیقت استفاده میکنیم. You have spoken about the pleasure and the pain location of the brain kind of holding the same hook in a sense. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Well, this is sort of a...
And whenever you need your slides, I know that we have
oh,
created
sure, yeah,
slides.
if you want to pull those up, but yeah, I mean...
Can we have the first slide, please, so that we could explain from there?
Oh, okay.
میتونیم اسلاید اول داشته باشیم؟ ممنون میشم ازتون. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, the basic... Oh, here we go. Oh. So sort of one of the key parts of the model is this idea of homeostasis, which is really... homeostasis just means a state of physical or psychological balance. And so, oh, that's nice. So basically, what we believe is that all healthy behavior, all healthy emotions, are always trying to bring us into balance, or always trying to bring us into homeostasis, and then all unhealthy behaviors, so all addiction, all emotional, behavioral, or substance addictions, throw us out of balance, throw us out of homeostasis, sort of purposefully. In a sense, and the reason that we can have this kind of magnetic attraction to these out of balance states is because when we go out of balance, our stress systems are activated. Stress hormones are released in the brain, and there's a lot of evidence that stress hormones have a lot of the same effects in the brain as addictive drugs like methamphetamine or cocaine, and so anything that causes us stress and any kind of pain, any kind of physical or emotional pain, will also release stress hormones in the brain. And so anything that causes us any kind of pain or emotional distress or even physical distress will release these hormones that have a lot of the same effects in the brain as addictive drugs. So for example, one is endorphin. And so there's a lot of evidence that endorphin is the main chemical the main pleasure chemical in the brain. So the main chemical that whenever we have this feeling of pleasure or euphoria, that seems to be due to the release of endorphin in the brain. And whenever we have any kind of pain, emotional or physical pain, or any kind of distress, a lot of endorphin is also released in the brain. But the tricky thing is that it's unconscious. And so that's why a lot of people have missed it, like you were talking about the apple falling from the tree. Well, that's sort of one of the key components, is that it's unconscious. We're getting this unconscious reward. So it's not that we consciously feel this pleasure when we're in pain, but you get this we call it a payoff, like a drug payoff, an unconscious payoff. Great.
میگن که معمولاً بدن انسان قاعدتاً دلش میخواد مکرراً بیاد در فضای یک تعادلی بیاد و از یک لحاظی بدن ما کاملاً میره در فضای که تعادل نداره و